Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Kisma, and today's episode is how to shift your state instantly. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set.
Well, hello there, Nick.
Hey there, Kisma.
What's going on?
Shifting our states.
Shifting our state in the middle of doing some bigger future challenge. We've got a lot going on. It's been fabulous.
Yeah, always. There's always a lot going on.
A lot going on. You know, I had the idea of this topic because I love shifting my state. I love shifting it. I love helping people shift it. I think when we understand who we are as a human being and when we understand that, you know, we're the only ones thinking in our mind, like it's our thinker. And when we can think differently, we can create a completely different experience than what we're having.
Yeah.
And that's what it means to shift your state. So I'm excited to talk about this. But first, tell us how that mystic sound healing is going.
Well, it's coming along.
Mm-hmm.
I got a new piece of gear I'm very excited about. Kind of testing it out.
Is it a new gong? Because you have like a gong and a bunch of bowls.
It is not. Although I found a bowl guy.
Oh.
So I've been looking.
Well, how many singing bowls? It's just to give you an FYI, he does this singing bowl, but there's also this beautiful energetic and meditation. Like it's unlike anything I've experienced. But how many singing bowls do you have right now?
Right now, the big ones, I have 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a variety of smaller ones. I have a tingsha.
Mm-hmm.
Up at the center, there's 2 gongs.
Did you ever just like want to gong everybody through the healing? Just like gong.
Yeah, I do. It's really fun. When we were in the orchestra, you look back there, like how much fun are those dudes having, like banging on the gongs, and hitting all the things.
Maybe everyone needs a gong in their house.
It's pretty awesome.
Maybe we need a gong in the house.
I'm totally game to have a gong in the house.
I think that's okay.
Duly noted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find us a rockin' gong. No, but I got a bowl guy because I've been looking for. Remember, we were up in Carlsbad for that one day thing, and there was that special dude.
It was like the country or the world's biggest one day outdoor thing.
Right.
Festival happened in Carlsbad, and we used to live right by the village, and we walked up and it was like, what
by accident. We didn't even know what was happening, did we?
No.
And we're just like, wow, this is an extravaganza.
Yeah.
And there was that really special dude.
Oh,
and
he's so sweet.
He was great. And he had
from Nepal.
Really excellent bowls.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been able to find him.
Mm-hmm.
But I connected with a guy up in San Clemente because I've been looking for a while to expand the bowl set. I have something in mind that I want to do with this, and I'm kind of growing it as we go. Like it's just been a wonderfully fun and creative project for me. And then there's the whole technical side of it. We've really upped the quality of the broadcast. Like people were blown away by the quality of the broadcast that we were able to produce. And it's just going to get better because I got feedback from folks and I got a chance to review it myself and to know exactly what I need to tweak and what I need to do to just make it the best experience. Because it's not just a sound healing.
Yeah.
There's a little process at the beginning to really set the tone for it, to really get the energy right, and then to find a very deep state of receptivity, and then just let the music and really let the bowls and the gongs do their job.
Sounds luscious.
So cool.
How do they find out when the next one is? I know you're doing it every full moon.
Every full moon, yeah. So the best place to go is nickhansinger.com/sound healing.
Mm-hmm.
And that will have all the all the pertinent details up
Right,
about it.
right. And if you're not in the Bigger Future Challenge, pop on in, go to my website, kismawake.com, or
nickhansinger.com.
join us in the Bigger Future Challenge. It's a 7-day plus 3-day bonus days, and it's just awesome.
It's so much fun. And speaking of shifting states, like that's
a shift. Yeah, a state shifter.
It is a big state shifter.
So the reason this topic is important to me, I've done a year-end virtual training called The Shift. And if you go to the show notes, you'll be able to access the long extended recording that I have out on YouTube. But it was a really fascinating experience because I realized how many people that are seeking that know it's like they're having a certain amount of success or a certain amount of happiness, but they know the inner game is the most important. Like, and you've been there if you've worked really hard. Say you've created a lot of success, but you have a fear of losing it, right? Or you're fatigued or you're exhausted or things are going really well in one area in your business, but then your relationship is wrecked or vice versa. So shifting the state is about like an ascension model. You don't just shift it once. Every time you shift it, you keep going up the spiral to a place that is more objective, more certain, more devoted, more confident, more abundant, all of it. So it's not like you're going in and out of a bad state and a good state. It's that you shift and you continue to rise.
So important.
It's so important. Yeah. And we do have to kind of have this visual of, like I can ascend every time I shift. I can lift my frequency and then I can have a complete paradigm shift. I describe a paradigm like as a big fat piece of lasagna. You have all these layers of beliefs in it.
I've never heard this one before.
You just like want a brand new piece of lasagna. Vegan. For me, you can have whatever lasagna you want. But it's a paradigm shift. It's like your entire being knows something differently, experiences something differently. So we start with the layers. We start layer at a time. And the more that you practice this, everyone, the more it becomes permanent. And it's an incredible feeling. And I do believe that as we're on this planet, we will always have a paradigm shift. There'll be another one. The work isn't done unless you reach the ultimate state of self-realization, which I can't speak to. I don't know what that is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're not done until you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that I think is just so easy it's just so easy to get caught up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the bad things to happen. I want to shift out of the bad feelings and things and I want to shift into the good ones. And then we wind up in this back and forth. But, what you're describing is something really, really different.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I hear you saying though, is that it's not about not having the negative experiences that we have. But it is about experiencing them in a different way.
Right.
And doing something different with them.
Exactly. Yeah. Perception is key, right? Perception is key. So I want to create a very simple formula that our listeners can do again and again. And that helps you to shift your state instantly. And as you shift it, you continue to ascend. So the first step is awareness. We have to be aware of what we're experiencing or how we're feeling that we don't want to feel or experience. If we're not aware of it, we won't have that conscious choice to shift it. It's very easy to get stuck in kind of this low vibe or lethargic feeling. Or do you know how many people think worrying is normal? Because they've just
normal. It's
doing it for so long. Yeah. Worrying is not normal. It's not a normal, healthy state. But we're around so many people that worry. It's so easy to worry.
Right. It's super common.
Super common. I have to remind myself.
But it doesn't mean it's normal.
Of this all the time. So let's just take worry for instance. Like for me, if I'm worrying, I'm like, wait, stop. I'm aware that I'm worrying. I'm also aware that this is not a higher state of being. And remember, everyone, there's a difference between worry and assessment, worry and discernment, worry and pivot. If there's something going on that you don't want, you get to assess it. You get to pivot it. When you dwell on it with worry, you're putting more energy on it. So you're aware, okay, this is going on. And then the awareness goes into, is this how I want to continue feeling? This question is important. When you ask yourself a question, your brain pauses to answer. Do I want to keep experiencing this? Do I want to keep, say it's a problem in a relationship, do I want to keep seeing a person in this way? So awareness, and then asking yourself, do I want to keep experiencing this? Do I want to keep feeling this way? Does that make sense so far?
So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
The awareness thing is kind of a big deal. I just want to highlight that for the listeners. There's an art to awareness. We mentioned in the last episode too, lots of times we are very, very aware of the wrong things.
Right. We talked about how most people will be focused on or aware of what they can't have instead of aware of what they can have.
Aware of our limitations, or aware of like the things that we don't want to be happening, or without the bad things that could happen. You can be very, very aware of those things, but you're aware about the wrong things. So awareness there's two keys to it in my mind. One is the decision, but even like you said, do I want this? Do I not want this? But even before that though, is that it's basically like taking a step back in your mind to watch your mind work.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think about it. It's like, whoa, look at my mind go. Like our minds will do some wild things. It's just all over the map with some different things and thoughts. And it's really important to be able to step back and not even try to change it, but just to pay attention to what's going on in your head of like, wow, like look at the story that my mind is making up all about that.
Yeah. Look at the assumptions, look at the mental movies. Now, I don't want you to confuse our listeners. You have to be aware of what you're doing that isn't serving you.
Oh, sure, sure.
That doesn't mean to stay focused on that. So this is why the question is so important. Right. So you have awareness of, here I am. It's not where I want to be. It's not how I want to feel. I don't want to worry. So you ask yourself, do I want to keep worrying? Do I want to feel this way? Hopefully you hear no. Now, sometimes if there's an event going on, you might hear, yeah, I want to be mad. I want to be pissed off. I'm going to dig my heels in. Have at it. It's your life. Have at it. I suggest in a few minutes you circle back around and see if you still want to stay there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Really, really good point, because there's so much more freedom in having your moment, and it's actually like more fulfilling. Like if you're like, you know what, I just want to be pissed off about this for as long as I want. Where if you resist it and you try to like fight yourself on it, like you'll probably be pissed off for a lot longer. But if you're just like, no, like I want to be angry about this for a few minutes, then you'll be angry about it for such a shorter period of time. And you're actually like, all right, like I'm having my little tantrum, and like you can have your moment and it releases so much easier.
It does. Yeah. But go back and keep asking the question. Like, make sure you get yourself out of it.
Yeah. Don't just stay there. Like, you want to circle back to that question. Hey, do I want to keep doing this? Been doing this for a little bit. Do we want to continue?
Right. So aware, ask yourself the question, do I want to stay here? Do I want to keep feeling this? Do I want to keep experiencing this? And then that is the beginning of the shift, because your brain's like, your brain is paying attention. We need to get the conscious mind to pay attention so we can shift where the subconscious is going. If our conscious mind is not directing the subconscious, it's just going to keep going to that lowest common denominator. It's going to stay in the worry, and it's going to keep putting out into what we refer to as the universal substance, things to worry about, which means you are manifesting that. So when you get that intellect involved, the conscious mind, the thinker, and you're like, no, I want something different. It's like the captain of the ship showed up, and now you have someone a master at the wheel. You're like, okay, let's drive this ship in the direction I want to go. Now, there's an energetic piece that is helpful to insert. I'm going to have you talk about it. It's cord cutting.
Cord cutting is basically just about releasing, so there's the energy connections happen. And they typically happen around charged things, which are often like the loudest things, right? Where they really start to show up. It can be things that we are worried about, for sure. It can be people that are agitating to us. It can be people who are agitated with us. It can be conversations. and stories that we're building around a certain situation or something like that. All those are like basically energetic connections. It's basically like having a phone line open. You think about the old days when there was a cord on that line. Now we have Wi-Fi, right? So it's actually like the Wi-Fi is a little bit more accurate to what's happening in the energy. There's a channel open, there's a signal open in that specific place, and you can actually disconnect that through cord cutting.
So how do they cut cords?
You cut the cords. I mean,
can you describe, just in case somebody's like, what is this? Do I need a pair of scissors? Just give a quick overview.
Cord cutting is basically like you take like a magic lightsaber. You imagine that you have a lightsaber or a magic sword, and you have cords. But be concerned about the ones on the front of your body, right? And then you sweep the sword down and you cut the cords. And in your head, you don't do anything fancy. Like there's nothing really magical going on up there other than cut the cords, because intention is key as well. Right. Yeah, that's it. It's very, very simple, clear intention will do way more. Now, the thing that people will do with this, two things. One, they do that, cut the cords, and they notice a little bit of something, but then it's like not fully resolved. So they're like, oh, that didn't work. No, it worked, right? You've probably been doing that weird stuff in your head for a long time, and you might have to do it more. Yeah. It's like when you step in the mud and you go to rinse your feet, there still might be some mud and you got to scrub it. Yeah. Like you try to like wipe it off with a paper towel. Like it's like it didn't work. Yeah. Like you're going to be dirty forever. Right. No, like you keep cleaning it. So that's how you approach it with the cord cut. You cut the cords. Good. And the second thing with that is that people will do is they'll get a little bit of a shift and they're like, oh, it's all better. No. And that's good. Like that's a good start. Okay. And you really want to use this tool to get to the depth of it, right? To really fully release it. So you'll notice a shift, a tangible shift. It's like it's as subtle as you're just like not thinking about that thing anymore, and then your mind, if you're like us, clearly, like your mind is active and it's already on to the next thing and it's happy zone. Like, great, you did it. But you want to really pay attention to that, the subtle shift that happens so that you can allow that to happen more fully. Right. So don't stop short. Great. Cut the cords. And then the final piece, after you do that, you take a breath and you find something to be grateful for. Something, I don't care how big, I don't care how small. This seals the deal of shifting your state. Because whenever you're in gratitude, you're already shifting your state. We just wanted to remove some of the stuff, right? That's heavy. And then when you're thinking of gratitude, it's so much easier. You'll lock into it. And it could be that you take a walk in Mother Nature and you look up at the sky, or it could just be you take a few breaths and you're like, okay, life is beautiful. The universe is here for me. Life is here for me. Whatever it is, you pause and breathe in gratitude. I know that it can sound hokey because people use this word gratitude so much. It is really a deep connection with your true self. So you have to be devoted to it and really take it as this is an essence and it's an energy that is part of your divine operating system. Gratitude, I think you're right. Like of course I am. You're right in that it has been used and talked about so often. The attitude of gratitude that it's kind of easy to discount it. Same thing, like something like as you think, so you become. Right. It is also very easy to discount. Oh yeah, I know that. And then you go off and you're like criticizing someone or yourself or something. We have to embed this in our heart. Right. You really, it becomes living wisdom at a certain point. Like that's what we're looking for. But like the attitude of gratitude, it's a huge shifter for energy. Right. And energetically, what's happening, if you're curious about this, like you have a big container and then you have like the little containers, the little mechanisms, that is your, some people call it the chakra system. It's basically a substrata of energy. And there's certain centers of that are really important for shifting that. And it's not all about just lower and higher and anything. It has more to do actually with dirty or congested versus clean and clear energy, free flowing energy. And one of the things that we need for that is space.
Yeah.
We need a little bit of space.
Yeah.
And so when you use that gratitude, like it actually activates your heart in a really beautiful way. And once your heart gets online, it helps to feed and fuel all the rest of the systems.
Totally.
And it lets some of the energy in your head start to cycle. So people get really up in their heads, especially when there's a problem or a conflict, because we're doing what we've always been taught to do, which is try to solve it with our mind, right? And try to think your way out of the thing. And that's not the solution. That's not the best solution. Certainly something needs to change there. But when we actually drop into our hearts via gratitude, the energy gets to distribute more evenly. So your head isn't so congested. Your heart's more free. So you're much more resourceful and everything will flow better in your body.
Right.
So it's actually, whether you realize it or not, that is something that can enhance your health and vitality in ways that you might have never thought possible.
Exactly.
Like gratitude is actually like really good for your health, man.
So good for your heart. I mean,
your whole system. Yeah. And especially the heart, of course. Yeah.
I mean, so many of the great metaphysicians tell us, when we're in resentment and anger, it eats at our tissue, it eats at our organs. And gratitude is the opposite of that.
Exactly.
So just to recap, awareness, what's going on? Just be aware. Okay, this is happening. Ask yourself the question, do I want to experience this? If the answer is yes, circle back around, maybe take a walk. If the answer is no, then cut the cords, and finally step into, breathe into, think about something that you are so grateful for. It works every time.
Every time.
Every time.
I've never seen it not work.
And I'd love to hear from you. Find me over on Instagram, Kisma Wake. Maybe comment under one of the posts on the podcast or any post. Nick is the Mystic Next Door over on Instagram.
Yeah. I might even open up Instagram and go look at it. I've been a little bit better about it. Yeah.
Go look at it. And the Bigger Future Challenge, you can find it at kismawake.com, nickhansinger.com. Email us at
hello@illuminationpodcast.com.
Yeah. And we so appreciate you. Feel free to share this episode with someone that you think might be able to use a little state shifter. And until next time, sending you much love, light, and power.
Namaste.
Peace. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.